Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. We've got some wonderful news to go through today. There is an incredible hashtag that was trending, at least maybe among people that I follow, earlier today. Tulsi Gabbard has filed a $50 million lawsuit against none other than HRC. You guys, you're not going to want to miss this. It is chock full of some really interesting tidbits. Also, it looks like Hunter Biden has been ordered to appear in an Arkansas court, and he must disclose financial information. And he has to tell them why he isn't in contempt of court, because he was already supposed to appear and he just didn't bother to show up. What a scumbag. Also, it looks like, you guys remember that St. Louis prosecutor that I talked about several months ago? She was, I guess, put into power with the money of the Open Society Foundation. We'll leave it at that. You guys know where that money goes and where that comes from. Well, it looks like she is in a lot of trouble, some hot water. She had some suspicious dealings with regards to her work with a local politician, and she says she's going to plead the fifth. Now, you know what that means. It looks like she doesn't want to incriminate herself. And finally, do you guys remember when Jeff Bezos's personal text messages and pictures came out? It destroyed his marriage. We talked about it here on the channel. Well, it turns out that his phone was hacked, and it was hacked by none other than a file sent over by the Saudi Crown Prince. That's right, the current heir to the Saudi kingdom helped hack Jeff Bezos. Now, of course, he says that he didn't do it on purpose, it didn't happen, but nothing ever came out from the Saudi Crown Prince's phone. So that kind of leads me to believe that it was sent directly to Jeff Bezos by the Crown Prince, and that is probably why the National Enquirer was able to get all of those spicy tidbits. All right, guys, well, we've got all this for you and a little bit more, so please do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor. A famous movie villain once said, "Introduce a little anarchy, upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos." Well, rarely in history have truer words been spoken, and history has demonstrated this repeatedly. Whether it's a stock market crash, a tea attack, the power goes off longer than you've expected. All of these things happen without warning, and when it's breaking news, it's too late to prepare, and you're in a panicked scramble. Now, to avoid the chaos, there's a few things you should do, one in particular, but build an emergency food supply. I personally trust and use my Patriot Supply to do this for me and my family. Now, you can get started with a 2-week kit at their website, and this week you can save 40% off these food kits when you go to my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. These kits include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years in storage, and they arrive to your door with guaranteed 2-day delivery. Those who know what's coming are preparing today, and you should too. So go to preparewithredpill78.com and save 40% off right now. Once again, that's preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. First of all, today, I was talking to my girlfriend this morning, and she said there was a particular hashtag that was trending on Twitter. It's right here. It's hashtag Tulsi didn't KHS. Now, why would that come out? Well, it's coming out because Tulsi has filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against none other than Hillary Rodham Clinton. And, of course, when people go up against the Clintons, they are not long for this world, such as, unfortunately, the poor departed wife of Robert Epstein, the scholar who came out against both the owners of this platform and Clinton in regards to their manipulation of votes and voters. So let's go ahead and take a look at the coverage because it has some very interesting comments in it. So Tulsi Gabbard filing this $50 million lawsuit against HRC. It's all in regards to HRC defaming her by calling her an asset of the Russian government, of Vladimir Putin specifically, if I'm not mistaken. But this was filed today, Wednesday, in U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York, and it asserts that HRC carelessly and recklessly impugned Gabbard's reputation when she said that the candidate is the favorite of the Russians on a podcast. Now, Hillary's claims dominated the news cycle and made headlines in nearly every news publication. Now, the complaint says she intends to hold HRC and other political elites accountable for distorting the truth in the middle of a critical presidential election. Now, this line right here really got me. Tulsi Gabbard is running for president of the United States, a position Clinton has long coveted but has been unable to attain. Talk about twisting the knife. And she continues, whether out of personal animus, political enmity, or fear of real change within a political party, Clinton and her allies have long dominated. Clinton lied about her perceived rival Tulsi Gabbard. She did so publicly, unambiguously, and with obvious malicious intent. Tulsi has been harmed by Clinton's lies, and American democracy has suffered as well. With this action, Tulsi seeks to hold Clinton and the political elites who enable her accountable for distorting the truth in the middle of a critical presidential election. Now, I said some months ago that I actually like Tulsi Gabbard. I like her because she's not afraid to speak up and to actually say what's on her mind. And she's also not going to lay down like Bernie did in the face of its quite malicious impugning of her character. Not saying I'm going to vote for Tulsi. Trump 2020, liberal tears right here. It continues, the lawsuit lays out Gabbard's support for Bernie Sanders in 2016, which caused her to stop down from her role as the vice chair of the DNC, and says it has left Clinton with animus towards her. Clinton, a cutthroat politician by any account, has never forgotten this perceived slight, and in October 2019, she sought retribution by lying publicly and loudly about Tulsi Gabbard. Specifically, in widely disseminated national comments, Clinton falsely stated that Tulsi, an Army National Guard officer and United States Congresswoman who has spent her entire adult life serving this country, is a Russian asset. Clinton's false assertions were made in a deliberate attempt to derail Tulsi's political campaign, the lawsuit continues. Now, Tulsi's lawsuit refers to Clinton's remarks as a seaspiracy theory that has harmed American democracy. Clinton had no basis for making her false assertions about Tulsi, and indeed, there is no factual basis for Clinton's seaspiracy theory. Clinton's peddling of this theory has harmed Tulsi, has harmed American voters, and has harmed American democracy. Tulsi brings this lawsuit to ensure that the truth prevails and to ensure this country's political elites are held accountable for intentionally trying to distort the truth in the midst of a critical presidential election. Now, Clinton's spokesperson, Nick Merrill, responded to the news by telling NBC that that's ridiculous. But at the time, when asked if Clinton meant Tulsi Gabbard when she said this, he said, if the nesting doll fits, clearly insinuating that, yes, Tulsi Gabbard was an agent of the Russian Federation. Obviously, Tulsi Gabbard is a patriot, if not a little misguided, but she is certainly not an asset of Vladimir Putin or the Russians or anything having to do with the Russians. This is just another excellent example of this Russian hysteria that Clinton and her cronies have tried to drum up here in this country. Absolute insanity, trying to create a second Cold War, or even maybe just a regular old war, just a plain old World War III. That'll probably get her and her buddies lots of cash when we have to sell all the missiles and arms to mutually assure destruction of our two nations. Now, I want to take you back to October because a bunch of left-wing mainstream media outlets changed the story. The New York Times is the one who quoted that podcast where Clinton said that Tulsi was an agent of the Russians. Well, when they changed it, they changed Russians to Republicans, and a bunch of mainstream media outlets changed the story themselves. They said the New York Times misquoted Clinton, and Nick Merrill, that spokesperson for Hillary Clinton, also came out and said that she was misquoted. Now, it says on Friday, the New York Times did a piece about a podcast Secretary Clinton did with David Plouffe. They incorrectly quoted her saying that the Russians were grooming a candidate running in the Democratic primary. They rightfully fixed it to reflect that she was talking about the GOP. Well, there's a huge difference between Russians and Republicans, okay? Doesn't even roll off the tongue in the same way. The reason they changed it is because they knew that what Hillary Clinton said was defamatory, that she had put everybody at risk. Everyone who repeated that statement could possibly be sued in much the same way because they reported it as if it was real news, when in fact it was just a baseless accusation by a desperate political hag, someone who's never been able to achieve her dreams of becoming president and emperor of the United States. Well, your time has passed. Please go to bed. Tulsi, I hope you win every dollar in that $50 million. Now, I have tried my hardest to find the audio from that podcast, but wouldn't you know it, it's been flushed down the memory hole. Now, at the time that it came out, everyone reported on it, and it was on a podcast, so people also heard it. But once it became apparent that if they were to keep it out there in the open, Hillary was going to be putting herself at risk of a major lawsuit such as this, well, they absolutely had to get rid of it, so they just flushed it. Now, what's really crazy about this is that we had people from both sides of the aisles. Bernie Sanders came out in defense of Tulsi Gabbard when he didn't even defend himself against what the Democrats did to him. And also, President Trump came out to defend her because it's just completely ridiculous when you've got the Democrats and Hillary Clinton calling people on the other side of the aisle, or even people in their own party, assets of the Russian Federation. It is insanity. But if you guys have a clip of Hillary Clinton saying what she said, please do let me know, and I would love if you could send it over so I could play it on this channel. Now, as we know, Hunter Biden is in the midst of a pernicious paternity suit down in Arkansas because he had a one-night stand with a female dancer, shall we say, and it produced an heir, a grandchild to Uncle Joe Biden. Well, now he's been ordered to reappear in court next Wednesday just so that he can explain why he shouldn't be held in contempt, because he's been violating court orders which state that he's supposed to be revealing his financial information. Now, he's got this child with 28-year-old London Robert because they met at a D.C. dance club, shall we say, where she worked as a dancer, and she is in court demanding that Hunter pay child support, as only he should. Now, Miss Roberts has dragged him into a nasty court battle because he refused to pay support for over a year, and he refused to pay her an $11,000 legal bill. Now, Roberts told the court that Biden has had no involvement with the child's life since he was born, never interacted with this child, and never parented the child, and could not identify the child out of a photo lineup, unlike many other people who have identified Hunter Biden out of a photo lineup. Now, Hunter and his baby mama are due back in court on January 29th for this pre-trial hearing. Now, Hunter is in a lot of trouble. He's supposed to reveal all of his financials, any property that he owns, any companies that he owns, every source of income from the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So this is going to put Hunter Biden into a very awkward position because it's going to force him to reveal a lot of information, including the information about Burisma. So we will find out exactly how much money he's been paid, and it won't just be us trying to figure it out from the sidelines. Now, this should also reveal a lot of information about where Hunter Biden's money is going. Where is he putting the money once he gets it? So perhaps a web of shell companies might be revealed, and hopefully we're going to be getting a very, very clear picture about who Hunter Biden is, where that money has come from, and where it eventually goes. All right, so the topic of justice is a big one on this channel, and it's a big one among the viewers as well. I've got at least one or two people that every time I put a video out, they ask, where's Ray? Where's Huber? Where is Durham? Well, in this article, we're talking about hope that Schiff and George Sorosky might go down. Now, this is that Missouri prosecutor who was funded by the Open Society Foundation. Now, she is supposed to appear in court, and it looks like she's going to plead the fifth in regards to her secret work with a lawyer/politician. Now, this week, that woman's name is Kim Gardner. She is the St. Louis Circuit Attorney whose campaign was funded by none other than George and will be deposed by Special Prosecutor Gerald Carmody. This comes after the news on Tuesday that St. Louis police officers caught Gardner in a major lie about her traffic stop in December. Gardner said she was harassed for 15 minutes by St. Louis police, but a video proved she was lying. The police only pulled her over for 6 minutes, and Kim Gardner also allegedly lied about the date of the traffic stop. Sources indicate that Gardner will likely plead the fifth this week when she's questioned about her misconduct in manufacturing a false case against Governor Eric Greitens in 2018. Gardner will also be asked about her communications with Jay Barnes, who played the role of Adam Schiff in her takedown of Greitens. Now, back in 2018, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner charged Governor Eric Greitens with a crime with no evidence. After dragging his name through the mud and making the Greitens family family rack up millions of dollars in legal bills, Gardner dropped the case when she herself was going to be called to testify. Investigative journalist John Solomon, a Fox News contributor, has filed a lawsuit against Gardner for failing to turn over records pertaining to her communications with George's associates, convicted felons, journalists, lobbyists, and politicians. The Solomon suit names Jay Barnes, a Republican state lawmaker. Barnes served as chairman of the Missouri House committee that was formed to investigate Greitens after Gardner made her false charges. Now, just as Adam Schiff is found to have been working with the Ukraine whistleblower, Jay Barnes worked with Scott Fawn, a convicted felon and Missouri journalist, at the center of the scandal. The Barnes committee held secret hearings and did not allow Greitens' lawyer to attend or to question witnesses. That sounds very familiar. At one of these secret hearings on March 9, 2018, Barnes became aware of cash payments made to witnesses who made accusations against Governor Greitens. Convicted felon and Missouri journalist Scott Fawn later admitted to the Barnes committee that he delivered at least $120,000 to witnesses who made false accusations against Greitens. Curiously, Barnes never required Fawn to answer where that money came from, maybe because she already knew. The Barnes committee never subpoenaed any of Fawn's financial records or the records of the witnesses who received the cash payments, and the special prosecutor may now ask Kim Gardner about why she and Jay Barnes both chose not to investigate the cash payments to witnesses. Kim Gardner's lead investigator, former FBI agent William Tisby, has already been charged with 7 felonies for manufacturing a case against Greitens. The charges against Tisby include 6 counts of felony perjury and 1 count of felony evidence tampering. One of those felony counts against Tisby is related to his alleged lying about a videotape of an interview that he falsely claimed malfunctioned. The videotape was hidden for months, and both Gardner and Tisby lied about the videotape. Gardner's team finally admitted they had the tape and released it on the same night, April 11, 2018, that the Barnes Committee released a report containing more accusations against Greitens. Gardner is likely to be asked about why she lied about that videotape and also about the timing of its release with the Barnes report. The Barnes Committee never called Tisby to testify, and they never asked Kim Gardner's office why she charged Greitens with no evidence. Gardner's office does not dispute that she has records of her communications with Barnes, but she has, however, refused to turn over such records. Jay Barnes currently works as a lawyer for the Simmons Hanley Conroy law firm, and Barnes has not yet been deposed in this case. She is scheduled to be deposed January 24th. That's this upcoming Friday. Now, these are not the only issues with Kim Gardner in her district there in St. Louis. She also has a very contentious relationship with the police in that area. She's failed to bring charges against drug dealers. She's failed to bring charges against other criminals. She's had a I guess, shall you say, a hostile attitude towards the police in general. Now, Bill Barr actually made a comment about this during an interview that he gave. I believe it was with Fox News. It could have been ABC, but it was with a journalist not too long ago, talking about the funding of prosecutors and city attorneys such as this by none other than George Soros. Now, this is exactly the type of thing that could bring him down. This type of corruption is why they kicked him out of several Eastern European nations. Now, this also could be the unraveling of a major threat of corruption that leads to other places throughout the United States and the power structures that control them. So definitely, this is a huge story. I knew this months ago when I first started reporting on Gardner. So we're going to keep an eye on this, and you better believe I'm going to bring you a follow-up. All right, and finally, we find out that Jeff Bezos' phone was hacked by the Saudi crown prince. Now, the reason this is so interesting to me is that President Trump came into office. I believe that we did have something to do with the overthrow of that old Saudi regime and helping to put in a more friendly and law-abiding Saudi regime. And then we have Jeff Bezos' phone hacked. So was there a quid pro quo? Was there a quid pro quo there? Did the Saudis help us because we helped the Saudis? Well, this explosive new report claims that Washington Post owner and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos was hacked by opening a message message on WhatsApp from the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Bezos is, of course, the richest man in the world, and he was hacked in 2018, and his private flirty messages with a woman who was not his wife were then sent to the National Enquirer. The report from The Guardian claims that a digital forensic analysis found that a message sent to Bezos from a number used by Mohammed bin Salman is believed to have included a malicious file that infiltrated the phone. Now, the analysis says it found highly probable that the intrusion into the phone was triggered by an infected video file sent from the account of the Saudi heir to Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post, and the two men had been having a seemingly friendly WhatsApp exchange when on the 1st of May that year, the unsolicited file was sent, according to sources who spoke to The Guardian on the condition of anonymity. And according to the source, large amounts of data were pulled from the phone within hours after the file was sent. So clearly, if it was this file, if it was sent directly from Mohammed bin Salman, then I do believe that the Saudis had something to do with the hacking of Jeff Bezos' phone. Because if it wasn't bin Salman, if it was just a malicious video file that was meant to make the rounds amongst a number of people, then the sexy messages of the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia would probably have been released as well. Now, the disclosure is likely to raise difficult questions for the kingdom about the circumstances around how U.S. tabloid The National Enquirer came to publish intimate details about Bezos' private life, including text messages, and that was 9 months later. It may also lead to renewed scrutiny about what the Crown Prince and his inner circle were doing in the months prior to the deletion of Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist who was taken away in October of 2018, 5 months after the alleged hack of the newspaper's owner. Now, the Crown Prince reportedly has a relationship with David Pecker, who at the time was the chief executive of the company that owned the Enquirer. Now, of course, David Pecker is also good friends with President Trump. The Enquirer has also always been very friendly to President Trump, and the Saudi Arabian government has vigorously denied being any part of the attack. But I just want to say, the implication is there, I believe, in this article. They don't mention President Trump at all, but I would not put it past them to have something to do with this. I certainly have no problem with Bezos getting knocked down a peg, or the fact that his fortune was probably cut in half as a result of his infidelity. Let this be a lesson to anybody out there who is thinking about having an extramarital affair on your spouse, especially if you have billions and billions and billions of dollars. Well, guys, prayers for Tulsi, prayers for Hunter Jr., and maybe some kind thoughts for Jeff Bezos and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Just want to remind everybody about the 200,000 subscriber giveaway. Don't forget to like and share this video. Also, make sure you comment and that you are subscribed. If you do those things, you will be entered into the contest to win a $100 gift card when we reach the 200,000 subscriber mark. There will be 2 chances to win: the video with the most likes and the video with the most views between back when I announced the contest and the time that we hit that milestone. And then I will continue to do contests every 50,000 subscribers from there on out. Thank you guys, everybody, for supporting the channel, and thank you for watching. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. Just one more thing. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has taken the time to support this channel. If you'd like to see some ways that you can support the channel, you can always check the show notes in the pinned comment of this video below. Whether you like, whether you share, whether you make sure that your notifications are on, any way that you support this channel means so much to me. I could not be doing this without you, and I could not do it without your help. Without people like you, this channel would not exist, so thank you so much to everyone for all of their many means of support. Don't forget to check out the merchandise store that is also in the pinned comment, and I will see you guys next time.